Andy Cohen is talking about a potential Real Housewives of New Jersey reboot as the show now needs a rebrand. And then it's Divorce Day. We're diving into Real Housewives of Orange County, new Jen Pedranti. Her divorce settlement details have been revealed, along with Shannon Doherty's divorce details, which were finalized just one day before she passed away. We're going to get into all of it. I hope you're ready for it. Let's go. You're listening to No Filter with Zach Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What up, everybody? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in, everybody in the club. What's going on? Welcome on in. Hi, guys. I hope you are... Uh-oh. Are we good? Is the connection good? Can you guys see me having trouble? Okay. Well, let's pray that you guys can see me a-okay. Hi, guys. What's up? So, yes, if you're watching this live on YouTube right now, it is a fresh... So, my face is fresh. There's no more facial hair. So, what happened was I got a haircut and I decided, oh, it's fresh. We got a little fade on the sides. Like, we're feeling it, right? And then I was like, you know what? Let's try something a little different with my facial hair. And I decided to try a goatee. And after I did it, I did not like it. I was like, oh, I don't like this vibe. It's making me look very aged. It's making me look very old. So I was like, but you know what? I don't like it on me, but let's just pray that it's not terrible enough to get through, right? Let's just wait for the rest of it to grow back out, and we'll trim it a little bit and let the rest grow back out until we have the full beard again, right? I liked the beard. It just gave my face a little structure. Okay. And I was like, nobody's gonna know this. Nobody's gonna know, right? Nobody's gonna know. Well, that wasn't the case, because after I posted, I kind of tried to conceal it with some of the photos that I was posting. It happened yesterday, but I tried to conceal it a bit. And no, because all of the reactions from people on Instagram were like, I don't like it, not feeling this vibe, makes you look too old. And so I was like, okay, fuck it. We're just going to shave it all and start from scratch. So here we are, fresh as a daisy. I will start to get it, to grow it back out. I don't know. I feel like my face just looks too baby. I don't know. I'm not used to having a clean shaved face because it's been a minute, but I think I'm going to grow it back out. So just be patient with me as we do that. Or we might keep it clean. I don't know. We'll see. We're going day by day right now. But yeah, Stacy said she noticed. Oh, thank you. I like the fresh look. Always cute. Thank you. Anaconda said, Zach, thanks for not putting this live too late for us non-Americans, as we love your life. I appreciate that. Thank you. You look better. No beard. Oh, okay. Thank you. I like the baby face. It just feels too baby. No? Maybe we'll take a poll. I like a little facial hair. I feel like it makes me a little scruff, just gives me a little, makes me feel like a man. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into all the tea. Let's see. What do we want to start? I guess we can start with Jersey, right? It's so interesting. They were supposed to film the, not reunion, but season wrap-up special. That was supposed to film yesterday, actually. And I don't think anything major came out of that, because it filmed, but I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't seen anything circulating on Twitter or on Reddit. So I don't know if it was that interesting. If I just remembered right now, none of us have heard anything about it. I don't know. IDK, but it is what it is. Sarah Betancourt says Cholo man out. That's not when you guys say that, that's a very offensive. I don't like when you guys comment that. That's not a nice thing to say. I feel like there are subtle undertones of things we should have left in the pre-2020 era. But yeah, whatever. We're back. We're here. So Jersey we have this upcoming Sunday, and then the following Sunday is supposed to be the finale, and then the reunion special, whatever that is. So I don't think it's gonna be anything good. If not, I mean, granted, they're trying to lock down on leaks, but like at the same time, I just feel like I don't know if anybody's that excited to see. I'm pretty sure the finale is going to give us something to like what the Vanderpump Rules finale gave us. Remember when it was like a look back and they showed flashbacks of everybody on Housewives? I'm pretty sure they're going to try to tie it up in a nice little bow to make it feel like some sort of conclusion because Andy Cohen's now talking about Jersey and saying that it's gotten too toxic. Somebody called into his Radio Andy radio show and basically asked him like what's the deal with this blogger situation. We've seen screenshots of like Teresa and Jen and I think even Margaret's had screenshots that have come out. And so Pamela says, I'm assuming Cholo isn't like YOLO. Cholo isn't like YOLO. It's like a Mexican gangster, right? It's like you're from the hood. Listen, I am from East LA. I did grow up in the hood, but like we never aspired to be Cholos or to want to look like them. But yeah. Have they been forced to sign NDAs bearing in mind all the leaks? I don't know. But so just to recap, everybody, there were some bloggers that came out that basically said, like, oh, we've been in contact with Teresa and her lawyer and with Jen Aiden. And Jen kind of addressed it on Watch What Happens Live the other night after Jersey. She's like, listen, everybody talks to bloggers. We all talk to bloggers. My screenshots are just the ones that happen to be leaked. But she's like, they're fans of ours. And we want to make sure we're not. We're not like we want to be nice to them and we want the fans to know that we appreciate them, so we'll engage with them and we'll talk to them and we'll tell them certain things, but we're not expecting it to like come out where it looks like we're in collusion with them. And I'm like, well, my only pushback to that, my only argument is that where it looks like there's collusion is where you have screenshots of like Teresa and Jennifer talking to bloggers, wanting them to put information out about other cast members, specifically, with the Fudas. They wanted information about the Fudas to get out there on the internet so that if it's out on the internet, then they can be like, oh, look what's on the internet. I just saw this news report about this situation, blah, 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 blah. And then they talk about it on the show. And so it was becoming like a way to strategize to take down and embarrass other cast members. And so Andy addressed that. And he's like, it did kind of get to be toxic because the bloggers got involved. And he's like, listen, we love the bloggers, right? Like the bloggers keep the shows relevant. However, it became way too toxic in a way that has not happened with any other franchise, but is definitely happening with Jersey, where the women are talking to them and giving them information and the leaks are getting out of hand. And it makes the show not fun. And it also, just creates this environment that's not healthy for the cast either, because then it becomes like this like expository game, right? Of let's try to, expose this person for their past or expose this person for this thing. That way, they create drama and out other people. So I don't know. Anaconda says we definitely got answered about Jersey and it's going to end that one. They're probably going to do a refresh. He said that it needed a rebrand because someone said, should it get a reboot like Real Housewives of New York? I don't think it should get a reboot like Real Housewives of New York because I don't think the Real Housewives of New York reboot is that successful. We'll have to see what the new season brings, but I haven't heard anything about the new season of New York. Either it's really good and they're trying to contain any leaks, or it's just a little lackluster. And I feel like there were new announcements about newbies joining, like a few newbies joining throughout the season. And typically, when you hear of newbies joining throughout the season, it means that the ones that they have in place are not holding their weight. And if they bring somebody new in and then that new person needs to be replaced, and we have a bunch of friends of that kind of are mixed throughout the season, it typically is not a good sign of a good season. It's a sign that the season was struggling and they needed to bring in new blood. So we'll have to see what happens. RHONJ Reboot is definitely not thrived. It's so boring. Yeah, Hannah, I tend to agree with you. It just, it didn't slap the way that I think some people were hoping that it would. Jenna Lyons, I feel like was a total flop. I can't believe she's coming back. I don't think she like fits Housewives. I don't think she likes Housewives. And it just, I don't know if I would be like, yeah, RHONJ Reboot is like the successful model for what we want to do with Jersey. If that's what you're going to do with Jersey, I don't know if I'm necessarily thrilled about that. And Deb says the casts are basically using the Bravo celebrity status to manipulate the blogs. Exactly. And that's the unfortunate part, I think most of them are a flop on the RHONJ reboot. Yeah, they are, Christopher. They kind of are. Like, I don't. But we'll have to see what the new season brings. But yeah, so he's talking about rebrand. He didn't use the term reboot, but he said rebrand. So I'm assuming we're probably going to get a big cast shakeup. I don't envision the show moves forward. I could see Teresa leaving. I could see Jennifer Aiden leaving. I can see Margaret leaving. I would be well, I can also see Danielle leaving. I can see them keeping Melissa and Rachel Fuda, possibly Jen, possibly Jackie. I don't know. I feel like Jackie can probably get cut too. But I think they want to keep the young, youthful, like Real Housewives of New Jersey. But when it comes to, I think Danielle had potential. She's very Jersey-licious, but she had potential because she was new and she brought something fresh to the show. And she was very quintessential Jersey. However, I think the physical violence that, ensued with her and Jennifer this season, I think may have hindered her. So I don't know if I see Jennifer Aiden coming back. I don't know if like Teresa, I think could probably get her own spinoff and will be fine without the show. And I think is ready to move on from the show. But Melissa, I think she's younger. She's still kind of old Jersey in a way because she came on season 3. She has like the history. So I can see them keeping Melissa around. And if anything, maybe it'll really kind of get her to, carry her own weight without the storyline of being tied to Teresa. But yeah, I don't think they're going to pick sides, though, because everyone's like, they need to get rid of Jennifer and Teresa. They need to get rid of Margaret and Melissa. I get it. People have their sides in terms of who they like on the show, but that's not typically how casting works. Casting doesn't work with like, what did the fans say? Are the fans team this or team that? And let's chop half of the cast based off of the teams on the internet. No, they go based off of, who can carry the show moving forward, who has interesting things going on in their lives, who can be a good fresh face, but also still have that nostalgic vibe, similar to what I think they were hoping to do with Atlanta. But obviously that flopped when Kenya Moore got or exited. We don't know if she got fired or what the hell actually happened. Marianne Stout says, I don't understand how they can keep Jennifer Aiden or Teresa after all the leaks. I agree. I just think Jennifer Aiden is probably the first on the chopping block. And I just think Margaret's time on the show has maybe come to an end. I like Margaret and I like Jennifer Aiden. I think they both bring a lot to the show, but I don't know if there's anything more that either of them can really bring aside from what they have brought in the past. But I think if we're going to rebrand, if we're going to refresh, because Andy's like, the shows weren't designed to be takedowns. They weren't designed to be like everyone, trying to expose other cast members. They were meant to be a show about a group of friends. And there are some cases like the Erica Jane situation where someone gets divorced and then you question your friendship and you question that person. You're like, well, am I going to be implicated in some of these things? Like, you start to question things and those are natural of your friendships. But I think when it comes to like a Jersey situation where you're leaking things and wanting bloggers to put information out there so that you can talk about it on the show so that you can embarrass other cast members, that's when it becomes challenging. So, yeah. Melissa is younger than me. She's like 41, 42. Yeah, she's early 40s, so I think Fuda, Danielle, I think Danielle would have had she may still be a strong contender moving forward because they already kind of brought her in. They may just kind of commit to her. I don't envision Jennifer Aiden moving forward. I just think at this point, the show's moved on from that. But when it comes to Kathy Wakile, so Kathy was just on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy addresses that too on Radio Andy, and he's basically like, listen, there's nothing more to Kathy being on Watch What Happens Live than what you saw. He's like, we're not talking about next season yet. We haven't thought about casting. He's like, we're just trying to take a pause. He's like, there was good response from the audience. People really enjoyed seeing Kathy again. I think they enjoyed seeing Kathy because Melissa started talking about Kathy again, and there seems to be drama brewing between Kathy and Melissa and Joe. So I think that has more to do with people being interested in Kathy, whereas I think if Kathy wasn't building a house across the street from Melissa and Joe, and had Melissa not just talked about her on Watch What Happens Live, I don't think there would have been much more interest in having Kathy on Watch What Happens Live. I don't think anybody would have cared and been like, oh yeah, we definitely need to bring back Kathy. Like, what did Kathy really bring to the show? Aside from being Teresa's cousin, like what I think Rich brought more to the show. I think Rosie brought more to the show, but I don't think Kathy carried very much with Jersey. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Autumn Taylor says, I wish I was a casting agent. The housewives would not have all these problems. Well, that's what a lot of people say. But I think the casting, it's a lot harder, right? Because you have to find people that are willing to be open with their lives, that fit the lifestyle that you want to move forward. You never really know, even if you do a chemistry test, you never really know how somebody's going to perform throughout the entire season. Look at Anne Marie. Look at Diana Jenkins. These are cast members that people, that were supposed to bring fresh air to Beverly Hills. And they did. Look at Crystal Minkoff. They even gave Crystal 3 seasons and she still flopped season after season. So you never know how someone's going to ultimately work out. And from what I heard, Crystal was very different off camera than she was on camera. So I'm sure when they cast Crystal, she was great. But then once they actually brought her on and started putting cameras on her, like it's just her dynamic and her personality shifted. So I don't know. Russ says maybe move Jersey to the Philly suburbs of Jersey. I don't know. Kathy just provided reason and balance and relatability. But do you really want relatability in your Real Housewives? Reason and balance, I feel like Jen Fessler has taken on the role of reason and balance, and she can she's a bit of a flip-flopper, but she does bring a little balance. Is the next season going to be like season 6? Probably. They're probably going to bring in some fresh faces and hope that they really make a splash. But look at season 6 when they brought in the twins and they brought in Amber Marchese, and it was like, oh, these are some big personalities. These are going to be some great additions to the show. And were they? I don't know. I don't think so. It wasn't a great season. It was one of their least seasons, like their least favorable seasons. Christopher says, to me, they need to give Teresa a couple of seasons without Melissa. Guess what, Christopher? They gave her the first 2 seasons without Melissa. She did fine. But I think even Teresa, like her story is run dry. And I think that's why Teresa's engaging in all these, plot points to expose other people on the show, because she's lived out her life for the most part. And I think her story overall has kind of just run a little dry, aside from, just kind of having her kids grow up and be married to Louis. Like, I think if anything, they'll keep Teresa around for any legal drama that comes forth with Louis, but that's not really what we want to watch with her anymore, right? So we'll have to wait and see. Crystal's a totally different person on Jeff Lewis. She should have been like that. I agree. Crystal's not on Housewives. She was just playing a role and listen, I even know that some of the people that she was pretending to be friends with on that show, she was not really friends with and she didn't really like, and the people that she didn't like openly on the show are not the same people that she was just finding reasons to dislike them on the show. She was very disingenuous on the show than the person that she was off the show. So, yeah. So that's Jersey. We'll have to wait and see. But no Kathy. Andy says Kathy's definitely not. Or he says nobody's in talks to rejoin. Everything's just kind of on pause at the moment, which I think is fair. They're probably going to take a few months off before they even start those conversations up again, to give everybody, a bit of a breather. The audience too. Joe says, seems like the audience appears to be weirdly attached to housewives with criminal activity. So with all these live trials, might as well have the Real Housewives of Idaho. Idaho. Yeah, it's weird because people are like, it's so toxic with all the trials and the court and the lawsuits. But at the same time, it seems like that's all people are interested in. They want to see, a housewife get exposed. But speaking of illegalities and trials and whatnot, we do have some divorce settlements that have just been announced. First up is, do we want to talk about Shannon Doherty or Jen Pedranti? Let's talk about Jen. So Jen is the newbie on, is her name Pedranti or Pedranto? What is her name? Jennifer. It is Pedranti. Yeah. Sorry, I had it in my notes, Pedranto. But so anyway, Jen, she was married to William, and then she cheated on William with Ryan, and now she's with Ryan. her divorce settlement was just announced, and it looks like, because remember, so in the current season of OC, we're watching it all play out. She's struggling because she's not getting her divorce payments. He's supposed to be paying certain, like a portion of the rent. He's not paying it. She's facing possible eviction. Gina's like, oh my God, she's ruining my reputation, yada, 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 right? Ryan, not Ryan. Yes. Ryan, not Ryan. But so Jen's divorce. So it looks like her ex William is going to end up paying her $4,600 a month in child support, which covers all 4 of their kids, which to me sounds a little low. Like $4K to help raise 4 kids. That seems low, like a very low income like you're supporting 4 kids and that's what you have to cover them? Like, don't you have expenses, like living expenses that they're gonna need? Um, and if she gets any more money from Bravo, so as her salary at Bravo increases, her um, child support will decrease, which I also think is kind of fucked up because, like, no, like you're the dad. If she makes more money, then like that's more money that she can use for the kids. But like, why do you have to pay her less money if she starts making more money if she's the one supporting your children? She'll also get 1,700 a month in spousal support. So total, that's what 4, 5, a little over 6,000 per month with spousal support and with child support. She will no longer get spousal support if she gets remarried, which is pretty standard, even though she just got engaged to Ryan. So I would imagine she and Ryan are not going to be getting married anytime soon. That way she can continue to get that spousal support. That is kind of a weird, like, loophole, though. If you stay engaged but not actually married, then you like can keep your spousal support even though you're not really needing to support yourself because you're engaged to get married. I don't know. Mary says in California that won't even pay a month's rent. I agree. That's crazy. Yes, you need to pay rent for 5 people. Jen plus her 4 kids. That's 5 people that you need to provide a roof over, and all she's getting is 6,000 per month. Like that's very low. She's also awarded net proceeds from the sale of her family home. He walked away from several bank accounts. He also handed over some of interest in Pedranti Construction Management, a 2024 Ford Expedition, a 2026 Ford Mustang, and a Toyota Tacoma. Jen was awarded 2 bank accounts, a retirement account, and all interest in her company, Devi Rebel Yoga. Well, that's really going to be lucrative, right? She makes what, $50 a class is what she said? Jen was awarded 2 bank accounts, yep, and a one-time sum of $267,000 in order to equalize the division of the community assets and debts. Both were awarded all the money they earned following their split. Jen and William wed in September 2022 and separated in January 2021. Wow. And then he filed for divorce last year, March of last year. That's not a lot of money. I mean, assets, why, like, sure, but like, who's like, oh, yay, I got the 2016 Ford Mustang. I won. Like, that's not really a great one. Anaconda says, I think he stopped working to not pay her. Probably because he was struggling to pay. But like, not your one. She is your ex-wife. Well, I mean, I get it. He's pissed at her because she cheated on him. They were married for almost 20 years. I get that, and it's like that is pretty ballsy for her to be like, yeah, I left you because I cheated on you, and now I'm engaged to the guy that I cheated on you with. But you know what? Give me spousal support. But also, she did bring him into her family and help him get a job and all of that stuff. So I don't know, but it's just it ain't looking good for her. This settlement just looks very lackluster. I mean, again, 4,600 for 4 kids. That's not a whole lot. Even 1,700 for spousal support, like that, it seems like nothing. That's like, I don't even know. Is that like an SSI check? It's like a retirement fund check, right? I think even retirement funds give you more per month than 1,700. Like, how is she even able to pay for a mortgage? How is she able to rent a decent place for her and her 4 kids? It's kind of crazy. I guess she does have her housewives. When is today's episode of Disaster Days dropping? It already dropped. It dropped this morning, Russ. You can catch it on Apple. And if it's not on Spotify, it might be on Spotify. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to load on Spotify if it's not there already. Let me check. Yeah, I'm not sure why sometimes you have to refresh the app. Sometimes it just takes a minute. Endup says the child support can always be negotiated down the road. He'll have to work at some point. Yeah. That's probably what he's able to pay considering that's all he can afford. But also, like, I mean, I don't know. What about what she can afford? If she's not making that much money, that's a whole, that ain't that easy. Pamela says, my dad used to say that $1 would get you a cup of coffee. Not anymore. That is right. It's like $4 for a fucking coffee now. It's crazy. I'm like, $4 for a coffee, for a black coffee? It's ridiculous how much they try to charge for coffee. It's literally just mud water. I don't see it on Spotify yet. Yeah, it takes a minute, Russ. Sorry. Sometimes Spotify, I don't know why it delays, especially since it's a video podcast. Sometimes it just delays the upload on Spotify. But you can listen to it now on all other podcast platforms, including Apple. Hopefully Jen can save up the spousal support so that she can pay that alleged $20,000 in unpaid rent. Yeah. See, if she's at $20,000 she owes in unpaid rent, then like getting $6,000 a month from her ex is not a whole lot of money. Invest in a good coffee machine. I haven't bought coffee consistently for over a year. No, that's smart. I do have a good coffee machine. We also have a very good coffee machine in our building. So if I ever run out of coffee, I can always run downstairs to our lounge and get coffee there. That's complimentary for all the residents in our building. But sometimes it's just nice to get out, go for a walk, and spend, $7 for a latte here. Yeah, Anaconda, it's insane. $7 for a fucking latte. I'm like, why? That's crazy. So that's Jen's divorce settlement. But then we also have Shannon Doherty's divorce settlement. So this is what's crazy is Shannon Doherty just finalized her divorce, which was finalized literally. Oh wait. That was just finalized a day before she passed away, which to me tells me, because I know she was fighting him she wanted spousal support. She's like, listen, I don't have insurance. It expired because I'm no longer part of SAG because I'm not working currently. She's like, my main source of income comes from my Charmed residuals and my 90210 residuals, but that'll significantly decrease when Charm's no longer on any streaming platforms, which I didn't even realize. How can we watch Charmed right now? Let's see. Where to watch Charmed? I know I can watch it on YouTube TV because that's usually where I watch it. Oh, it's on Peacock. It's on Pluto TV. You can rent it from like Apple. Oh, it's still on TNT. Okay, so it's still around. I don't know what streaming platform she was talking about. I know they took Charmed off of Netflix, which I used to like watching it on Netflix. It's no longer on Netflix. And it seems like if you like pay per, if you rent episodes, you can watch them. But I don't think too many people are actually renting them. But is this the original Charmed that you can watch on Peacock or the new Charmed? It still airs on TNT, so I don't know what. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like if it's still airing on TNT, then there are still some pretty good residuals, and it airs. Oops, it airs daily on TNT. So she's, it's not that bad, not that dismal. You look stunning with a new haircut. Thank you, Alyssa. TBS. No, it's on TNT, not TBS. Well, I don't know if it's on TBS, but I know it is on TNT. But I know for a while it was on Netflix and it was doing really well on Netflix. And I mean, bummer that Netflix let it go because like right now I'm sure everybody wants to watch Charmed, especially since they announced that the first 4 episodes of the Charmed Rewatch podcast that she started, she filmed the first 4 episodes, which are recaps of season 1, episodes 1 through 4. She rewatched those and they taped recaps with Holly Marie Combs, Brian Cross, and Drew Fuller, who played Piper, Leo, and Chris, and Shannon played Prue, but they were in the process of doing the Charmed Rewatch podcast, and now here we are. I started watching 90210 on Paramount Plus for the first time. 90210 is good. I don't remember where I would watch it. They had reruns on one of the channels. Joe says, when we say good residuals, does that mean $1 per $2 show re-air? I don't know. How much do actors earn in residuals? Let's see. The amount an actor receives in residuals is known as royalties and depends on several factors, including the contract, the production type, the role in the production. What was established in the contract, whether the production is a TV show, a commercial, or a streaming project, the actor's role in the production, time spent working, how long the actor worked on the production, budget, revenue, runtime, the number of subscribers the streaming platform has. Yeah, so that's why when you see actors and they're just like, "Oh, I would only make 40 cents, and that was my residuals check," and it's like, "Well, you were on a fucking loser show that didn't make any money, so, yeah, nobody's really watching that anymore, so you're only gonna make 40 cents." But that's not people who were on hit shows, you know? Ask how much she made. I'm sorry, that's the lowest of the low. Um, ask how much she made, not actors, very specific. Let's see, how much did Shannon Doherty earn in residuals? I don't know. I know she was paid a reported $75,000 per episode on Charmed, but that was her like per episode rate when she was actually on the show. Residuals, I'm assuming, are like a fraction of that, like a teeny tiny like percentage of that. I assume she, Holly, and Alyssa were making the most in residuals because they were the three main characters. And obviously Rose when she came in and replaced Shannen Doherty. So I mean, they were making, I'm sure, a good enough figure that, you know, with Charmed still in its popularity, like let's not lie, if it's still airing on TNT right now, like they're still going to be making some decent residuals, which means like Alyssa Milano and Holly Marie Combs have to be making some good residuals off of Charmed because they were on all 7, 8 seasons, where Shannon was only on 3 seasons. And if that's the basis, the bulk of Shannon's if that's the bulk of Shannon's income, and I believe in her divorce settlement, Shannon said she made about $25,000 this year. So let's just divide 25,000 by let's go with June, 6 months. Or actually, let's just go for a more conservative number, 25,000 divided by 5 months. So she made about 5,000 per month this year, which is not a lot of money. 5,000 per month just in, well, I guess that's total income. So that includes like when she was doing 90s con, and that includes when she was, that seems really low. So I would imagine she's making less than $5,000 per month in residuals. Maybe like 2 or 3,000. Maybe I would say maybe like 2,000. Considering Charmed, this is from end of 90s, early 2000s. That's not a lot. I'm sure it was doing a lot better when it was on Netflix. It's still on TNT, so it can't be doing terribly. She still has 90210, which airs regularly as well. But if that was the basis of her income, it had to have been like fair. But I believe prior to her, there was a report that she was making, I want to say like 250 per year, 250,000. Let's see, 250,000 per year divided by 12 months. That's about 20,000 per month. She had to have been struggling because her mortgage was 20,000 a month. And if she was only making 250 per year, that's her entire mortgage payment, 20K that she was bringing in. So she was struggling. She wasn't doing too hot, especially now that she was working while on her deathbed. Yeah, it's not enough. And I commend her for fighting back. Yeah. So to talk more about the divorce settlement. So she was fighting her ex Kurt. So she was saying she made about 250,000 per year, and he was making about 600,000 per year. And I didn't realize how big of a photographer her ex actually was. Like he does like major shoots with like big time A-list celebrities. And I didn't realize that was the type of photographer that he was. But so he was making good money, is making good money. I believe they even like shared a plane and he was like riding the plane back and forth. But so they finally settled their divorce. She was the main thing that was holding them up was she was asking for him to turn over his financials so that they could see how much money he was making per month. That way they can determine how much she was owed in spousal support. And her argument was basically like, listen, I'm dying. I'm not going to be around for another 10 years. I'm not some ex-wife that, is just scorned and angry and wants you to pay for my life. She's like, I can't work. I went into this marriage and thought that I was going to be with him until the end. And it's not like I wanted out of this marriage. He literally cheated on me. So you cheated on me. You left, or we ended this marriage while I had cancer, while I was limited with my work. I'm no longer working altogether. So I have no more SAG insurance for Screen Actors Guild. She's like, I no longer have SAG insurance. So, my medical bills are even going to be more astronomical than they were before because now I don't have insurance. So, and then it's not like she's going to easily get insurance once she's off the SAG insurance because it's like, who's going to be like, yeah, let's take on Shannon Doherty. She has stage 4 cancer. Sure. So I get her fighting him for, um, for something, for some spousal support. But in the end, she ended up forfeiting any sort of spousal support. And it looks like they kind of divided all of the assets evenly. Anything that she came into the marriage with, she got to keep. Anything that she earned before the marriage, she got to keep. Anything that she earned after the marriage had ended, after the date of separation, she was allowed to keep. Any property after that, she was allowed to keep. And even when it comes to like real property, houses, the plane, whatever, the cars, those were divided evenly as well. Like they had all of that stuff already set. So I imagine all of those details had already been worked out. The only thing that was holding them back was whether or not he was going to have to pay her spousal support. And in the end, she forfeited that. She's like, you're not going to have to pay me spousal support. I'm assuming. So if they announced the Charmed reboot podcast last Tuesday, I wonder if she knew then. Because if they had already taped 4 episodes prior, I don't know. If you listen to that first episode, she doesn't look like she has any indication that she's about to go out. So I think something just came up very suddenly and she knew, all right, this is it. I know she was doing a new round of chemo. She said that her cancer cells had changed or mutated in some way. So she was hopeful that they were going to be able to have new, different treatments and different types of chemo to try out. And ultimately, in the end, it just something happened. Maybe it was during one of her chemo sessions and they're just like, this is going really bad. Your body's rejecting the chemo and your body's shutting down, which could be very likely and is very unfortunate. But in the end, she forfeited any spousal support, which makes sense because there's no more support needed for him to give. And they both signed off on it. And they, were divorced. Yeah, it says in the court documents, Doherty agreed to waive spousal support and agreed to default or uncontested dissolution, meaning the couple settled their case out of court. Yeah, because there was no way to go back into court and to settle it. They just had to get it done. This is from today online. Not today as in the date, but the publication today. That's crazy. She did talk about this, I remember. This is from her podcast. She said, we all know I'm going through divorce. We all know it's not the most pleasant thing. I've refused to look in literally until I was going to record this podcast. And I just looked and I was like, oh my God, there are so many different nuances that people will never understand. And to take something just from a brief so that you can break a story is super annoying. I don't judge. I don't understand why people find it fascinating, boredom, wasting, wanting to make money off of a story, whatever it is. I can tell you that it's really hurtful. And unfortunately, there was no way for me to do it privately. It is what it was. I think because all of her income stuff was being reported and being released because the court documents were becoming public. She says that's been exhausting because obviously a divorce is not easy, especially when you really loved someone. I did love my husband. And when you get so hurt by their actions, you just feel betrayed and like a sucker. She was requesting spousal support, payment for her attorney's fees, and additional contribution to her accounting fees and costs. I think she waived all of that. Our assets are neither difficult to characterize nor divide. Our divorce should not be complicated. It is abundantly clear to me that Kurt is intentionally delaying settlement in hopes that I will not survive the divorce proceedings. And it looks like he got what he wanted. Shannon says that she hasn't worked since 2022. Her income for 2024 so far had been, like I said, the 25,000, which is kind of crazy to me. Wait, yeah, 25,730. Wait, 25,732.90. The majority of her income comes from charmed residuals. It was going to significantly decrease after June 30th. She wanted to resolve the divorce through attorneys, but Kurt was not being as easy. This is largely due to Kurt's utter failure to voluntarily produce any information regarding his income or his work, despite his repeated promises to do so. His overt efforts to delay our divorce by promising to willingly provide information and then failing to do so until served with formal discovery have caused me tremendous stress and aggravation during an already difficult time. I would like the peace of mind to focus on my health and no longer wish to engage in Kurt's sadistic push and pull game. It is simply not right that Kurt be permitted to prolong our divorce in hopes that I die before he is required to pay me while he continues to live his life and shirk his responsibilities to his dying wife of more than 11 years. Divorce is the last thing Shannon wanted. Unfortunately, she felt she was left with no other option, her rep said back when she first filed. It's crazy. But she got it done. And it looks like he got what he wanted. He delayed the process long enough for her to not make it. And then she passed away. I wonder how he feels about that. I don't know. Well, on her deathbed. I know. I couldn't even imagine. Daniela says, Charmed is still so popular, I'd love to see a resurge from the OG 90210. Well, they tried to redo 90210 a few times, right? Remember, they did the reboot, and then Tori Spelling, Jenny Garth, and Shannon Doherty all made cameos on the reboot. None of the guys did it, though. And then they did BH 90210, which was like a kind of like a Curb Your Enthusiasm style, where it was a little more improv, but it was the cast of 90210 like playing parody versions of themselves, where it was like Shannon Doherty playing Shannon Doherty, but she was like the caricature that the media made her out to be. So she was like difficult to work with, and the cast didn't like her, and she didn't really like them, and they were all kind of leaning into organic storylines, but it was all kind of scripted. So it was loosely based on reality, but not entirely. It wasn't a reality show. It was a scripted show that was to parody their real lives. But yeah, I agree. The Charmed is still very popular. I feel like most of them are in the younger generation don't know the OG because of the CW reboot being really popular too. I don't think the CW reboot was that popular. It only lasted 3 seasons. Usually a show only lasting 3 seasons tells you it's not that popular. I think it had its moment in season 1, but then by season 2 and 3 it never really picked up. I tried watching it. I tried to get into it in season 1 and sort of in season 2, and I watched a bit of season 3 because it kind of followed the same structure of like, falling in love with the white lighter and then the oldest sister Prue dying. It wasn't Prue, was her name Melanie or something? Mel, I don't remember, but yeah. What are we talking about? Brandy and Rocky? What's going on with Brandy Glanville and Rocky Bang Bang? What's going on with them? I wonder what Kurt feels now, whether he feels any guilt at all. He has to feel guilty. I don't think he really expected, one, for her to go this quickly, because you're in the middle of a divorce and she's fighting so hard. And two, I don't think he expected this. Like, it's one thing to delay the process and to kind of be like, God, I hope she goes before, we settle this. And it's another thing for it to actually become real, That's the part that's kind of crazy. It's like, oh, it's real. She's really passing. Like, this is really happening, you know? She signed off knowing it wouldn't complicate her estate post her passing. Yeah, I think that's exactly why she did it end up. I think she was just like, I don't want my mom to have to worry about this. I want everything to be settled. I don't want, and I think she probably called him and she's like, listen, I'm dying. I've got 48 hours, 24 hours at best. Sign the fucking papers. You won't have to give me divorce. Like, you won't have to give me, you won't have to pay me out. We made it. Here we are. Sign the papers and let me go. But, like, how awful on your deathbed. Like, you're fighting him and you're like, can't you just fucking pay me? I don't have a lot of time left. Just pay me my money. Like, just give me something. You cheated on me. I gave you my fucking heart. I gave you my life. And this is how you want to end it. This is where, this is how it goes. Sorry, Zach. He's a dick. Why are you saying sorry to me? Why are you apologizing to me? He ain't me. One Lifetime movie I would like to watch. Oh, that's not very nice. Oh, Pamela says, now I'm angry at a total stranger. I know. But like, could you imagine on your deathbed, you're like, holy shit. One, I thought I had this new job lined up with this Charmed Rewatch podcast. And now here I am. I find out I'm dying. I'm dying in a matter of, less than a week, in a matter of days, if she even had that much time. Because it's crazy. I mean, if they announce this on Tuesday, I would imagine either like Tuesday or Wednesday, possibly even Thursdays when something started to go under. Maybe they were trying a chemo, maybe they were trying a radiation. They must have been trying something. They must have tried a new form of chemo and maybe her body just didn't respond to it. Maybe her body rejected it. Um, I don't know. It breaks my heart. And then to think you have to like succumb to him, right? Because then you're like, you have to actually call him and be like, all right, you win. You don't have to pay me anymore. Because guess what? I'm fucking dying. He has to be guilty. This has to be eating away at him, knowing that not only did he cheat on her and move on from her, like, there's still got to be like an innate natural love that he has for her, that the loss of his ex-wife, whether it was a good one or a bad one, you know, I don't know. His actions were beyond cruel. Yeah. Like she's fucking dying. Like the best you're gonna have is like a couple of years where you pay her some money after you cheated on her. That kind of seems like the least. But then again, it's like he also did give her a lot of good years. And I remember her talking about it and being like saying that she like felt guilty because he didn't sign up for this. And when he married her, he married this strong, vibrant, tough chick. And the next thing you know, she has cancer. And like that's really hard on him. And he has to watch her and she's sick and she's dying and she's losing her hair. And cancer is hard on everybody around you. Even as bad as my ex was to me, if he was towards the end, I would still give him some grace. Yeah. I mean, you would think that would be like the human empathetic thing to do. I don't know. It just is heartbreaking. It doesn't show by his actions. I know. Luciana says, my brother passed away from cancer. However, the day before he passed away, he was playing golf. Cancer is just evil. He fought for 10 years. I'm so sorry. So sorry to hear that. But it's true. It's crazy. Anaconda said, he knew she had a few months at most and still put the knife in her back, holding his financial papers. Yeah. Even so, like let's say she won that settlement and she got some cash out of him. Like it wasn't going to be a decade of him having to pay her money. It's just crazy. Pamela says, if you love someone, that comes with the territory and sickness and death. I would love my guy. If he was fat, skinny, young, old, he's still the same person. Yeah. And Deb says, I hope the reboot of the Power of Three comes back to haunt his ass. I hope so too. Don't say the Power of Three, because now that makes me sad that we don't have Charmed anymore. And now we're never going to get like a reboot reunion. It was nice though that in recent years, or at least in the past year, that Shannon, Rose, and Holly all came together to do the different panels. I just wish, could you imagine how epic it would have been had Shannon, Rose, Holly, and Alyssa all reunited at 90s Con, which was it earlier this year or last fall? I want to say it was February of this year, right? Like January or February. It was early in the year. She found out he cheated on her right before brain surgery. Yeah, that was the crazy part. Um, But, like, it was so crazy that they had Alyssa Milano on one stage, and then they had the other 3 of them on the other stage. Like, I wish the 4 of them could have just and listen, I'm gonna say the unpopular thing because I know a lot of people hate Alyssa Milano, but it seems like Alyssa was, like, willing to move forward with all of them and be like, "I don't think we need to, like, have this contentious relationship." Like, she apologized to Shannon Doherty. I believe she reached out to her a few years ago after her cancer diagnosis and like apologized and tried to make amends with her. I know Rose McGowan was very upset with Alyssa Milano, but I don't know. Do you think if Alyssa ever speaks on Shannon's death that the public would think it's just performance? She did speak on her death. She released a statement to the press and basically said, like, I know Shannon and I have had a complicated history. She said, but at the end, she's like, but at the end of it all, like Shannon was still somebody that I was in awe of and still deeply admired as a talented actress, and that she, her condolences to all the people that loved her. It was very short and sweet, but Stacey says what's important is that she's at peace. He on the other hand has to live with it. Karma. Yeah, that's true. She's at peace now. It kills me to know that, like, that's how she had to go out. The statement was needed. You can't say nothing without it looking callous. Yeah, the statement was needed. She did the right thing by, acknowledging it and being respectful to Shannon. And, Holly wrote a really beautiful tribute. Rose wrote a really nice tribute. Brian, who played Leo, he had some very nice words that he said about Shannon on their podcast before releasing the first episode recap. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Can you see the sun? Mm, 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 Very appropriate. Listen, yeah, listen. I think Alyssa's done with the drama. I think she's also like, I want to be removed from this narrative because then it kind of listen. It did kind of suck for Alyssa because I'm sure Shannon was not easy to work with, and there have been multiple people that have come out to kind of verify that Shannon was not the easiest to work with. And I think Shannon was just so dedicated to the craft that she was a bit of a micromanager. I think she was just very direct. She knew exactly what she wanted and she was a bulldozer and she wasn't going to budge, right? Which again can be challenging to work with. And I think Alyssa Milano was maybe a bit of a diva. I think she, was a child star and kind of was treated like a diva. So I think she had elements of her that were diva like, right? So I think they both had their challenges and they were both difficult to work with in different ways at different times. Um, but the fact that they just weren't able to like move on from it and like let that go. And I think Alyssa's original statement at the beginning of the year, basically saying like, I can't believe she's like, I've never known a television show where even, decades later, the cast still speaks ill of their experience on that show, even though it was a wildly successful and popular show. And for the longest time, it was the longest running scripted television show with all female leads because the 3 of them were all women. And then I think Desperate Housewives ended up taking the spot for that. But like, 2 strong personalities. I really think that's what it was. 2 strong personalities and they just had difficult times working. But the unfortunate part for Alyssa Milano, again, I know this is unpopular, but the unfortunate part for Alyssa Milano is of course, she was going to end up being the bitch at the end of the day because Shannon Doherty had cancer at the end of the day. Like, nobody was going to be like, oh, yeah, on her deathbed, battling cancer, we're going to remember what a bitch Shannon Doherty was. But it was easier to cast Alyssa Milano as the quote unquote bitch on set. And she was the tough one to work with. And she was the diva and she was whatever. I think it was easier to make Alyssa the villain rather than make Shannon the villain. Yes, Shannon and Sarah Michelle Gellar were close. I don't think they ever worked together on a project, but I know that they were close. And they got particularly close because I think Holly Marie Combs and Shannon had a bit of a falling out at one point after she'd been diagnosed with cancer. And then I guess that at some point they had like made up and reunited, and it was a more recent reunion. I think it was like a very recent reunion, like just within the past year did they come back together because they didn't talk for a while, or at least it was assumed they weren't talking for a while because we didn't see them together for a while and they were super close and they wouldn't talk about each other in the press either. So something went down, something happened. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Shannon was not the problem. I think, She was just a very strong personality, and sometimes you butt heads with people with strong personalities. I don't know. That's what I got for you. All right. Um, Rose also said that Alyssa was terrible on set too. Yes. But the interesting thing too is all of or a lot of the producers and crew members, when Rose and Shannon were throwing Alyssa under the bus, a lot of them came out and said the opposite of Alyssa. They're like, she was actually very lovely to work with and we enjoyed working with her. Um, but Rose also said she hated working on the show. Like she didn't enjoy doing Charmed at all. Um, Sarah says, "Sorry, not my best live. I'm feeling misunderstood. You are all a very nice person, and I never want to make you feel like I'm rude." You're not being rude at all. Jam said, "What? Kathy Wakile is back? I missed her." No, she's not back. She came back to Watch What Happens Live, but Andy Cohen said she's definitely not in talks to return to Real Houses of New Jersey overall. It's heartwarming to see the interviews between Shannon and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yeah, they were really good friends. I feel like they became much closer when Shannon and Holly had a falling out, and then Shannon and Holly came back. You know who else? Shannon. Here's what's crazy. What else Shannon Doherty, or who else Shannon Doherty was good friends with? None other than Diana Jenkins from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. If you look at Shannon's Instagram, she has like videos with Diana Jenkins, and even in her caption, she's like, "Only you could make me fall in love with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills." And she did like a funny video with Diana Jenkins, so they've been friends. I just thought that was crazy, and I was thinking about that today, even outside of Shannon Doherty and Housewives, I was thinking, I was like, you know what? Diana Jenkins was a damn good housewife. Like she was everything you wanted in a real housewife. She was like Camille season 1, right? Or maybe not even that bad, but like rich, right? She had money, even though she branded herself as Nouveau Riche, but I think she called herself Nouveau Riche because she didn't come from money. She didn't have a family money. The money that she has is money that she earned, but she has money. She has money. She has style. She knows how to throw a good dinner party. Like she knows how to host. Like she, had kids that were young. She had a young hot husband. Like Diana Jenkins had everything. She was sassy. She knew how to read people. She was cultured. She would travel all the time. She had a fucking plane. Like, she didn't have Tom Girardi money. She had Diana Jenkins money. She had her own money. She didn't need no man to pay for her lifestyle, you know? Has DJ posted a memorial tribute to Shannon? Who's DJ? Oh, Diana Jenkins. Oh, I don't know if she has actually. I'm sure she has. It was an NT lawyer who ruined her reputation and helped setting her off on bad footing and part of the public thinking a certain way. An NT lawyer. Who was the lawyer? Camille season 1 was epically a train wreck. Gold Star TV. Yeah, Camille was a little like stuck up, whereas I don't think Diana Jenkins was stuck up. I just think, listen, Diana was very much herself, and she gave zero fucks, which is kind of what you want from somebody on reality television. I don't think we gave her a fair shot. Like, yeah, she was a little mean to Sutton, but she was just like, Sutton is just not an easy person to like get along with. She's very awkward and very uncomfortable. Crystal was also mean to Sutton. The only difference between Crystal Minkoff and Diana Jenkins is that Crystal Minkoff wasn't a very good like party host. Like she had good style, she had money from Rob, but she wasn't open. She didn't give zero fucks. I think Crystal gave too many fucks, and Crystal never knew how to host a good event. Like, let's just be honest. Joe says, I didn't care much for Diana, but I cared more that she had a hot husband and a hot son. I think had we given her more time, Diana Jenkins would have really shined. And we would have eventually um, grown to really like her. I may be wrong, but didn't Luke Perry also pass away? Yeah, he passed away a few years ago. Now Brenda and Dylan are together. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. They're like showing old clips of them on 90210 together. The guy behind Crazy Days and Nights said that she was a high class escort. Yeah. And started the rumors about yeah. But despite that, she was still doing just fine. She was still rolling it. She's like, and here's my Cartier, and here's all my jewelry, and here's my private plane, and here's my hot young husband. Like Diana Jenkins had everything that you want in a housewife: money, style, mega house, nice cars, plane. She had every like, what did Diana Jenkins not have that you need in a quintessential housewife? A slight level of delusion that we love as well, where they're kind of out of touch with reality a little bit. But she was also still such a humanitarian. Like, she was always trying to raise money for charity. Everyone's bitching about the Girardi victims here. Let me set up a fund for them. You know, some people think that she was only on to promote Asher's singing career. Maybe. And even if she was, good for her. Most of these women come on to promote their coconut water lines. What's wrong with her going on to promote her hot husband's music career? She had it all, but I think some of the public did not like her because of the crazy speculation. I think they liked the crazy speculation. They just didn't like that the speculation wasn't true, so they didn't have much substance to hold her to. So they ended up holding her to the Sutton stuff because Sutton was a fan favorite, which I still don't understand why. Like, I think Sutton's a messy housewife and you need those types of housewives, but I'm like, what is Sutton really like? Sutton doesn't have good fashion. Sutton has a lot of money. But she's not somebody that like flashes her money everywhere. Like, you want a housewife that's flashy. You want a housewife that has style. You want a housewife that has a hot husband or a rich husband with marital problem, like something that gives them character, you know? Sutton's just messy. And she wears like it kind of like brings her down that she wears like cat sweaters and goes on dates with like loser old dudes, you know? So Stacy says, Diana, here's my spiritual team cleansing my hotel room. Yeah. Shannon and Holly Robinson Pete were close for 20 years. Also, I didn't know Shannon Doherty and Holly Robinson Pete were ever friends. That's a random fun fact. I didn't know they were friends at all. Okay, well, that's all I got to say. Sutton is from Georgia. It's considered bad manners to talk about money. Oh, so let's just talk about, other people's money problems, right? Let's talk about what the LA Times wrote about you. Now, that's not true. It's better to talk about other people than it is to talk about your own money. Sutton is kooky and awkward, and that's why we like her. Yeah, but she's not. Yes, she's kooky and awkward, and she's messy. And that's, I think, what people enjoy about her, but it doesn't make her a quintessential housewife. Lisa Vanderpump, quintessential housewife, money, glam, businesses. Like, Lisa is just like the character that you want, darling, that, or who else is like a big high roller, you know, style of housewife? Merce is in the purse. Yeah. Wait, didn't DJ get her money from a divorce? I don't know if she did or not, but I know Sutton got her money from a divorce. Yeah. How did Diana Jenkins get rich? Oh, there we go. No, she got her money from her own businesses. She got started shortly after graduating from college when she opened a jewelry stand. She used the experience and capital from the jewelry stand to found a swimwear line called Melissa Obadosh. Interesting. Various ventures and business endeavors. She owns Melissa Odabosh Swimwear, a globally distributed brand, and is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Nero Brands. Yeah, the Nero drinks. Yep. She also received a substantial divorce settlement from her ex-husband. Ooh, how much did she make off of her ex-husband? How much did Diana get from her ex-husband? Wow. She received a sum equal to $300 million. Diana Jenkins received half of her former husband's wealth when they divorced. When Diana and Roger Jenkins divorced in 2009, he was one of the 500 wealthiest men in England. Roger didn't hesitate to share the wealth with her. Damn. He gave her $300 million, and then she invested that and made more money. Who was the one that said that? I think Elizabeth Vargas. She's like, I earn money the old-fashioned way. Marry into it, and then what did you say? And then divorce him or something like that? Wow. I thought she got over 300 million from the divorce. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. All right. Fun fact of the day. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to No Filter with Zack Peter. I love you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful, that's one of the friendliest divorces, right? Why couldn't Shannon Doherty have a husband like that where he's like, you know what, babe? It didn't work out, but here's $300 million. Have fun. Thank you for the good times. That's crazy. Thank you guys for listening to No Filter with Zack Peter. I'll be back again Tomorrow's also Wednesday's also probably going to be a later day. I have a breakfast with Meta in the morning. And then after that, I have to head straight into studio at Spotify to tape Disaster Daters. So it's going to be a bit of a crazy day. So yeah. But I will make sure to tape No Filter after that. So hang tight, stay tuned. I love you. I appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, leave a rating on Spotify. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're hitting that like button. And if you have a comment, drop it down below. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Ciao for now. Bye.